Let's go ahead and begin by settling into a comfortable, relaxed posture. Always take a moment to settle yourself into a clear, free, upright position. The weight resting just in front of the sitting bones, your legs soft and easy, your feet relaxed on the ground. Usually with your hips a little bit higher than the knees. Releasing the tops of your shoulders, letting your elbows hang, softening all the way to your fingertips. Your chest is relaxed. Your upper back is soft. Your shoulder blades release down your back. Continuing to allow your lower back to soften. Softening your throat and the base of your tongue, the back of your neck, sides of your neck as you relax the tops of your shoulders down. Soften your jaw, that space between your eyebrows, around your eyes. With each exhalation, your whole body continues to soften. With each inhalation, this deepening of stillness, a sense of peace and a quieting of the mind. Another couple of minutes, becoming softer, more centered. As your mind wanders away, remember that you don't want to grab it and try to force it back to concentrate. That just leads to more tension. Instead, it's better to soften around the distraction, letting go of the agitation of the mind so it can settle into the present moment. And then when you're ready, getting your palms nice and warm, softening the crown of the head. Make sure that your shoulders stay soft and released as you circle, and you avoid pressing down on the top of your head. Comfortable circles. Waking up the top of the head. And in between each movement, always remember to let your arms fall and hang until there's a sense of softness and restoration again, if your arms start to get fatigued from lifting them up. Remember that the pressure that you're using is only enough to sink below the surface of the skin. Don't push too far past this membrane layer that we're trying to reach, the space between the skin and the musculature, or the skin and the bone. Your awareness and the warmth and the pressure primarily reach to that level. And as a reminder, in every class, I try to let people know that if you're new and just joining us from someplace in the world and you're not sure what in the world we're doing, please do check down below in the comment section, and you'll find a link to an introductory video that will teach you how to do this set and will make it easier for you to follow along with us during these live sessions. There's also a link to a written list of all these movements for the people who find that helpful. Down below in the doobly-doo. Doobly-doo.
Not to be confused with the schmoogly bog.
Thank you for that clarification. Warmth soaks into the skin, softening around the eyes, letting go of the space behind the eyes. A reminder for those of you who are studying Qigong or Taiji, that as your elbow goes up, you let your shoulder blade go down the back. So this is all one movement rather than lifting the shoulder to lift the hand. Everything goes down. So this movement upward is actually a release of the shoulders down your back. We're thinking that the next 100-day cycle practice will probably be some kind of neck and shoulder release. As often it will take that long for people to open and find a way to release their shoulders. And so if you have difficulty with that, then please join us. allowing your awareness to soak into these spaces. Again, the classical images like water into a sponge or ink soaking into paper. The image of a person doing watercolor, perhaps. And feel your awareness spread out through your body at this layer, bringing a sense of warmth or pressure or liveliness, becoming more aware of these spaces. You eventually want to develop the capacity to be as aware of the inside of your body as you are on the outside, or some similar level. So we had some questions about the sequence on the ears, and so I will talk about them again as we go through. The very next one, we work at this line here where the ear attaches to the side of the face. And if you find that little cartilaginous flap here, you can feel that tragus. The space in front of it, just in front of it, on the top and the bottom, there's actually 3 acupuncture points in there that are very worth stimulating. 3 separate channels come to this point. And so if you gently crack your jaw, which is to say, open it just slightly, you'll probably feel that it opens that space and makes it a little bit more accessible to your fingers and your awareness. And so we begin circulating over that point. And I like to, at the same time, place one finger back behind the earlobe in that space between the side of the neck and the jaw. There's a little space back there. And I like to let my awareness soak into that point as well, if that's comfortable or possible for you. And then we will warm a line from the corner of the jaw all the way up to that point, and the point's just in front of the ear. And as well, you can allow one finger again to trace back behind the ear, and it will warm and release that root of the ear, that spot where the ear attaches to the head. And again, the real number of repetitions that you would do for each of these is the number that it's required for a sense of warmth to begin soaking into the area. And at least the way that I experience it, it's as though warmth radiates back out from the tissues. You want to find that experience and continue until you find it. And so take your time. And then the next movements is the same kind of rubbing, but this time over the ear. You can go up and down or in a gentle circle if you'd like. I also like to trace a finger here on the back. You'll find a little bony prominence of part of the skull here behind the ear. And you can circle your finger over that as well. But the main function here is to warm and circulate through the ear, again, until that sense of heat pours into the ear like you're pouring warm oil into the ears. And then using your fingertips, rubbing out along the inside of the ear, you just kind of trace the path. The ear has a bit of a spiral shape to it, but we're really just rubbing along the tissues along the inside of the ear to make sure that everything is circulated and well treated. And then we use the fingertips to rub, especially along this rim of the ear, all the way to the earlobe. Again, until it feels toasty warm and well circulated. You can also gently pull on your ears if that feels comfortable to you. And again, if your ears have any discomfort or pain, delicacy, maybe you have a delicate hearing aid in place, please be careful with all of this. You don't want to dislodge things or cause problems. This is just to warm and help circulate. And as well, if after all of that rubbing, your ears feel a little bit tired out, you can give them a bit of a tap from behind, which I think feels funny, but ZhiCheng Shifu always includes it, so I figured to do it. I half think that he does things sometimes, and I honestly do the same. Sometimes I include things in classes when I'm with people, just so I can see them do silly things. It's really fun for me. And so maybe he's doing that for this. I won't tell you which ones I'm doing to you. So then, compressing the palms against the ears. Gentle compression wave. You're not trying to cause pain. You're not trying to, pop your ears or anything. Just a very gentle wave, pressing into the ears with the palms 9 or 18 times. And on the very last compression, you tap your fingers against the back of the head. And if you'd like to, there's a way of tapping where you put your index finger on top of your middle finger, press into the middle finger until it reaches the threshold and pops off the side with greater pressure. And you can use that to strike the place just along the base of the skull here. The skull batter 20 points. So I hope that helps. Let me know if there are other questions about the ears that I can cover today. We do other points throughout the body that do benefit and nourish the ears because the ears are such a complicated collection. In Chinese medicine, the kidneys have a lot to do with the strength of the ears. All of those channels that reach into the ears that I mentioned, they all have an impact. And so we find a way to treat the hearing quite a lot within this set. But often people will have deeper issues, of course, that need to be treated with methods that are specific for hearing, which is not this particular set. Always waiting for that sense of settling through your body and your mind, your breath. If it takes 10 seconds, wonderful. If it takes 10 minutes, please take the time because you probably especially need help settling. These moments are possibly the most important in the set, so please don't overlook them. Hi, Del. Thanks for coming. Yeah, the scapula learns to release down the back. Probably 95% of the people I've ever seen in my clinic, even if they're not coming for shoulder pain, their shoulder blades are frozen to their back. They haven't learned how to release them. And it's a very important step and stage in Qigong and Tai Chi practice because this is a major outlet for movement. And so a very worthwhile thing to learn. Speaking of which, softening around the shoulder. What's that?
You're doing that arm.
Oh, I see. I was confused. Just figuring out what am I doing differently.
I'm noticing it.
Mel is making eyebrows and faces at me.
There has been a conspiracy theory going around that John only ever works on his right arm.
Fake news. The ancient Babylons foretold of the one-armed man, 2 right arms. So weird. Looks like I am very close to, let me check, see here. Oh, I have matched my all-time high of thumbs up.
That's great.
If I get one more thumbs up, it'll break my record.
Oh my gosh.
I get hundreds of views, but only a few thumbs up.
This is all your influence, Del.
This is all Del. I never thought about it before. Oops, what am I doing?
See what you did there.
I got distracted thinking about the shoulders. Taking the time to soften open each point. And again, we officially do 36 at all of these, but really you would do as many as required until that sense of warmth and opening, spreading begins to occur beneath the skin. Until you have you find that your awareness is drawn inward because the mind is related to this chi flow. It's all the same stuff. Part of the reason within these meditative arts that we learn to work with the qi is because it's a way of healing the mind, not just the body. And again, just for this reminder and this push from me for you to find what works for you, perhaps by stimulating the points this way, you're having some impact, you're reaching in there, but you're not quite connecting with your body on the inside. Well, maybe doing two at once is difficult for you. So what if instead you just used some fingers on one point? Maybe if you used your palm and you were able to follow that sense of warmth in to that space. Find out what works for you. If you're noticing a sense of disconnect, don't just skip past it, which of course is the easiest thing to do to an area that you're disconnected from, because that's what we've always done. So instead, we want our awareness to soak into our bodies. We want to be aware of all of these spaces in our body. So many of us have deeply troubled relationships with our physical body. And this is one wonderful way to heal that. Every day to connect, to take time to be loving, to be quiet and present, just pay attention to it. To let your awareness soak in this non-judgmental, unconditionally friendly context. I think that's a very healing thing. And remember, just because we were talking about the ears earlier, I mentioned in another class that one of my favorite points to use for people that have clogged ears or ear conditions in general, if you take the fourth and fifth knuckles and make a triangle here in that soft spot in the hand. That point up here can be very helpful in healing for the ears. I had to use it once while I was on a plane to Tasmania, and the cabin was not very well pressurized, and I had gotten clogged head from travel, and it was just fantastically painful. And so I reached in here and was pressing really hard, and as soon as I started to make that pressure, there was this pop, and it released. That I've had to use it a few times since in planes. Very useful spot.
Did you have to apply a certain amount of pressure for that to happen?
Yeah, for that plane ride, I was probably using too much pressure. I was still in school. I hadn't really learned well yet. You have to apply enough pressure to stimulate the point, which is easier with a needle, for instance, than with fingers and such. Mm-hmm. So if you happen to have acupuncture needles with you, you can do it, but like a medium level of pressure in that case. For this set, of course, we would just apply, light pressure, but I always want to mention these points like this because they're just so useful. So if you have a kid, for instance, that gets ear congestion a lot the way I did as a kid, and Mel did as well, then maybe helping by pressing on these points, just enough to stimulate them. You don't want to hurt them or anything. And just make connection. And it can be on either hand, but it's usually best if it's on the same side as the clogged ear. Very helpful. This washing of the arms is another that, at least on paper, ZhiCheng Shifu says, maybe you want to do this 100 times. And for a lot of people, that's a lot. And so we don't do it that many times here. But if you feel like doing that, you will probably find benefit. How are you feeling?
Very good.
Good. Softening at the solar plexus, just at the V of the ribs. You can either use your fingertips, base of your thumb, center of your palm. Again, whatever it is that helps you find the most relief and easing of that space. Every day it will be different, so you have to listen. By the way, this point here that we're doing in the solar plexus, during menstrual time, for people that have sensitive menstrual cycles, if you're a human that goes through that cycle, then sometimes you may find that settling a lot and gathering to the dantian behind the navel can be a bit strong for your period time. It doesn't happen very often, but occasionally that's something that somebody experiences. And so for those people, we would recommend that they instead spend time settling to the point here at the solar plexus, still below the heart. You want to be careful not to overstimulate the heart. But this is another place that for menstruating humans can be helpful as a way to settle if this is too intense for you. Just in case that's helpful to somebody. Halfway between the solar plexus and the navel, the yellow palace. Is it warm enough in here for you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. We woke up this morning again with a nice snowfall going on. Very beautiful. It's March and snowing.
It is March. Oh
It
my
is
goodness,
March.
I thought it was February.
Oh yes, we are 2 months in to this particular experiment. 60 days. Amazing, huh?
Yeah.
So for those of you that have been with us and continuing to practice, then I fully salute you. I'm intending a special gift for the people that do the full 100-day session. Not just those that follow along with me, but those who continue and maybe you watch the videos and you finish the 100 days later after this whole series is done recording. And if you do, please do send me your physical address somehow, and I will send you a gift. I have
Got
plans.
mine.
That's true. You'll be the first one to get it.
Yes.
Limited edition. Signed copy of Melanie going, ha.
Right. That would be so disappointing.
Especially during springtime. We're approaching the middle of spring at the equinox. And this is the time when these areas of the body tend to become congested, especially overpowered with certain kinds of emotionality like anger or frustration, and repressive emotions like guilt and shame, these kinds of qualities. And again, that's one of the reasons why our touch quality is very important. The qi associated with our touch contains information. And so you want to have a very gentle intent of being gentle and kind and friendly. These are the antidotes to the poison of this deep self-hatred and anger that we have going on in so many people. And physically, this is one of the areas that tends to get stacked up. So please be gentle. Emphasizing this downward direction, opening and sinking down, returning to the navel. Shoulder blades sink down the back, again, if you're capable of doing that. Being gentle, if you happen to have more breast tissue than I do, and it's tender, careful not to push down. Don't want to cause further irritation or discomfort. Both directions. Emphasizing this sinking down, settling into the dantian. spiraling outward, progressively larger and larger circles. 36 times out, 24 back in. Again, don't worry too much about the hand position or the direction of the circle. If you happen to know about the specifics of one position and direction nourishing blood more, one nourishing qi more, you can make those choices, but really the most important thing that we're doing here is simply connecting and softening, being present, releasing the breath. Always taking the time to settle. Gently softening open along the front. I'll do fewer of the movements on the back than we did yesterday, but you do want to take time here again. If you follow ZhiCheng Shifu's list, he'll have us doing 100. And I know for a lot of people that would feel like too much. And if you're able to increase the number without increasing fatigue, and you're only softening further and further, then please do take the time to warm and gently release this area. You will feel better for having done it. maintaining this comfortably settled quality into your chair. Your spine is naturally lengthening because you let go so much. The further you soften down, there's more and more the sense of being released upward, being freed, feeling long. At least that's the direction we're trying to go. Please be gentle, friendly. The warmth of your awareness soaking into these points. Remember, if you're not sure about these points or what we're doing, down below we do have that list of the movements and the various points associated with it. Easy to look up, or you can just watch the video teaching this set one more time. It's nice here to include a little bit of softening and easing of these powerful tendons that run in the back of the knee. They should be powerful, but somewhat squishy, like a guitar string, but loose. Too loose to play. Softening that musculature alongside the shin, just at the top. Stomach 36. Very nourishing point. Possibly my favorite point, at least in acupuncture, for benefiting the qi of the body as far as nourishment is concerned. Hey, Steph showed up. Wow, thanks, Steph. She came online just to like the video.
Aw.
Chris texted her. Thank you, Chris.
She was the record breaker.
She is the record breaker.
Yay.
Amazing. Now I'm at 8.
And thanks to Chris for reaching out to
that's
her.
really
So
kind.
nice.
Thanks, everybody. I don't even put these particular videos up. I always do the... Yep, Steph, you are the superhero. You saved us. Hopefully we can get these methods out to people. Help the world soften just a little bit. I know it's only like one person in the billions is like a homeopathic dose, but still, all of us working together, trying to help the world pause, settle, soften a bit, be kind to themselves and others. It's got to have some impact, right?
Change this thing better.
It does. I think so.
And Bernie Sanders' voice stuck in my head,
Bernie Sanders' voice.
offsetting the hardness of the world by 1%.
1%.
1%.
The 1% of the nice people. Mel, by the way, does amazing impressions, although she never is willing to show them off. All our friends in Europe are like, who's Bernie? And again, this spleen 6 point here, just the width, the distance across your fingers more or less from that top of the ankle bone at the edge of the shin bone, and this soft tissue, it's often very tender, very helpful for people who menstruate and people who don't. Mel walks around in these super warm socks and slippers that both have more holes in them than a
Giant holes.
than a golf club course, or what do you call it, golfing course or something.
I was finding all this fluff around the house and I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. It's from my slippers.
Slowly disintegrating. That is one nice thing about getting to work from home, that is your office decor.
That's right.
Your slippers and your bathrobe. Remember that your hands continue to soften, your wrists continue to soften. Soft and easy, relaxed, gentle and kind. If you find that your calves are especially stuck, please do spend extra time. I know several of you have noticed that these points behind your calves here are a lot less tender than they used to be. And if that's the case, you don't necessarily want to push harder. You just want to feel your way around to make sure that you're open and soft in all of the areas around the calf, down the Achilles. Eventually, your whole body opens like that, and you just feel warm and comfortable. And it begins to change the function and the shape of your body. But only if you're nice. You okay?
Yeah, my foot slipped.
Remember to find yourself in a comfortable seated position. For most people, it's better for your hips to be off of the ground. Remember that as you soften forward, do not grip with your thighs to pull yourself down. Instead, continue to soften your hips to lengthen your feet that way, so that this movement down your legs is helping all of this to open. If you grip and tighten, then you're just moving in the wrong direction. Remember that your legs this way as well. You want to be soft all the way up to this joint. The quads released, and you're simply circling by lengthening through your toes, activating your feet. Remember that here you're simply lengthening your spine, your shoulders sink, and you fold from the hips only as far as you naturally go. You are being gentle and kind, slowly increasing your body's ability to fold, moving from the feet all the way to the back, lengthening in both directions. Even if you can't reach your feet, maybe you can only reach your knees, let your awareness go to the bottom of your feet. So remember, as we move our jaw and our tongue especially, do as many as you can while you're warming and opening, but stop before it starts to feel sore or as though you're clenching and tightening up. We don't want to add tension to this area that we worked so hard to release. If you'd like to lie flat, feel free. Remember to support your body in all of the places and all the ways that keep you comfortable. You want to make a little spot for yourself, maybe like a little nest within which you can simply soften and be aware of your whole body at once. You've spent an hour and a half slowly accumulating awareness and softness in your body. Just become aware of all of that at once. Once your system has softened enough, and you can, of course, stay laying for as long as you like. Find yourself back in a seated posture. Just spend a moment feeling this new softness throughout your whole body. Softness in your mind, in your emotional structure, in your breath. It's useful to think about noticing the improvement you've made, almost like you're hitting the save button on a document. You're drawing this state into your conscious awareness, letting your conscious awareness notice, hey, this is pretty nice. I think very often we focus and spend more time thinking about the negative qualities, the bad habits, the negative experiences, for good reason. But the more we can draw awareness into these moments and notice how much better we feel, the more likely we are to maintain these changes. Very healing. Thank you, everybody. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them down in the chat box.
Dale says he has to tell you something funny,
Okay.
and it's gonna grind your gears.
It's gonna grind my gears.
Corry says, thank you. Always lovely to spend time with you.
Oh, thanks, Corry.
Yay, nice to see you, Corry.
Yeah, it's nice to have you here. Even though we only get to see your little square smiling face, it's still nice. And thanks everybody for helping me break my likes record.
Yeah, we're going to celebrate this weekend. Getting a cake with a big 9.
Well, 9 will be the next one.
No, you have 9.
Mine says 8.
Well, mine says 9.
Amazing. I didn't even know.
Del says this fitness influencer on Instagram who has several dozen thousands followers was teaching a seminar yesterday with a room full of about 50 people, teaching them how to connect, excuse me, to their tongue. Get this, he was telling them all to circle their tongue round and round, hard as you can, feel the burn and don't stop.
Sounds about right. Yeah. It's a way of seeing the world as the only way that we can know it is through pain. That the thing that makes something worthwhile is if it hurts. That is such a common message in our culture. I don't want to put words into this person's mouth or their tongue. Who knows what they meant? But I mean, I was a personal trainer for years. That was a lesson that we all learn. It's, yeah. We imagine that our world is made up of pain and or troubles, and the only way to overcome them is by striving and losing, and it's a universe of sacrifice, and it's a very bleak picture, I think, that gets painted at least within my culture in particular, because I know there's lots of cultural perspectives out there, and I think it's the way that we hold an image of the world and an image of ourselves shapes who we become, shapes how we interact with the world and how the world treats us. It's one of the reasons I really appreciate people who are willing to shirk labels or expand perspectives or try something different or step outside of a cultural paradigm. I think it's really important. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I have heard people, like, I wonder if it's that thing, and I think you just mentioned this, where we don't feel like we're gaining anything or progressing unless we really feel something.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're disconnected from our bodies, then softening practices like this might feel confusing or frustrating to people who have that rigid expectation about progress. And so I completely understand it. And I've also heard people recommend, like, if you're having a hard time finding the holding pattern in a particular area of the body, they will say, try to, maybe you're experiencing tension in your low back. Okay, you're feeling that tension. Now try to clench it even harder, just as a way of becoming aware of that area. Hyper aware of it, and then letting it go. Mm-hmm. So the purpose of that practice isn't to add more tension necessarily, but just to bring your awareness to that place so that you can let go. And I think that's very different.
I think that's a fair way to do it. Yeah.
Not that I would necessarily recommend that, but
it's hard. Yeah. And I know that, like, for instance, that method is one that Chris likes to use, and to tighten it in order to feel it so that you can relax it. And the difficulty with that is that it creates a cycle of tension. You get better at tightening, and it also teaches you, if you continue to use it for a long time, you're never learning how to tone things down enough to feel more subtle things. So you can feel the space when it's relaxed. And so, yeah, it's like trying to increase our ability to taste food by constantly seasoning it, instead of seasoning it less, so that we can learn to taste more and more subtle flavors rather than just the, salt, it's now salty or something like that. And so the ability to be quiet and to be subtle is a really important skill, at least in Taoism. And so everything we do should be leaning us in the direction of learning to see more deeply and listen more clearly and to be quieter, to hear the underlying truth of something. Oh my gosh, Ray's here too. Yeah, no pain, no gain. No pain, no gain, no pain gain. That's right. That's really funny. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Gosh, so wonderful having all your help. Thank you very much. Go out there and evangelize. Spread it to the world. Enjoy your day.